supporting 3JS, you can go for HTML languages. So first step here. Second step is also create a scene as usual. What is your need? What you going to develop as a scene? So first on the scene la vara subdivisions varala. Constant scene is equal to new 3.scene. Add scene and whatever you going to create a scene. You going to develop a geometrical shapes that will be converted to the scene. You need to write a program for this. This is a simple function. MATLAB பண்ணிருக்கீங்களா? Function FUNC சொல்லி ஒரு function கால் பண்ணுவீங்க. But there is a separate program for that function. Function filter FUNC filter. But you need to write a separate program for this filter function. Then you can call this filter function in your main program. So similarly, you need to write a separate program for scene. And the scene la what are the geometrical shapes you going to use, what are the animations you going to use. So and the information if the building da inoda concept அப்படினா அதுக்கு first step. So how many rectangle shape, how many square shape building is needed, what about the measures, what about the animated colors, what about the textures. So these are the things you need to include in the scene program. Then that will be called by this line, second line. So second step scene will be considered here. Third, perspective cameras. Cameras enna use பண்றோம் formula points பார்க்கணும். What about the cameras? Is there any particular type of cameras that are available or what? Monoscopic camera, stereoscopic camera. What about monoscopic and stereoscopic? Monoscopic na enna, stereoscopic na enna? I'll tell you what happened. If one single hearing or hearing aid or one single vision is considered for monoscopic. Stereoscopic means both different lens are used for both different eyes. So similarly here, two different cameras for two different eyes. So that kind of camera is called as stereoscopic. One single lens for both two eyes, that is called as monoscopic camera. So depending upon the application, you can prefer either a monoscopic or stereoscopic. So camera fix பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறமா these are the things we need to follow. What about the aspect ratio of the image? ஒரு கேமரால இருந்து இமேஜ் பிக் பண்றேன்னா what is the aspect ratio? That is either width and either height. What is mean by aspect ratio? சிஸ்டம்ல எல்லாம் பார்த்துக்கோல்ல 2:1 4:3 இந்த மாதிரி. So இந்த ஷேப்ல வரணுமா ஆர் இந்த ஷேப்ல வரணுமா அதான் aspect ratio பாப்பீங்க. படம் பார்க்கும்போது யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்கோல்ல. So that aspect ratio is inner width and inner height is 0.1000. Those details will explain about the aspect ratio. என்ன மாதிரி ஒரு கேமரால இருந்து இமேஜ் ரெண்டர் ஆகும் அப்படிங்கிறது. 75 means focus point. 75 வந்து இங்க அவங்க யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. You can use any other values. Focus point frames per second. 75 frames per second to be rendered by the camera. That will be here initiated. What is the basic frames per second range we need to follow for efficient immersion? 60 to 90 or 70 to 90 the range particle. So here they are considered 75 fps frame per second use பண்ணிருக்காங்க. So அதுக்கு aspect ratio இப்படி கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. Okay, so I imported 3JS library. Then second thing created a scenery. அந்த scenery நான் animate பண்ணி பார்க்கணும்ன்றதுக்காக கேமராவை நான் assign பண்ணிட்டேன். Next step renderer. Final step renderer. Renderer is a device which we can use to render the scene created virtually and display in the display unit. அதுக்காக யூஸ் பண்றது renderer. Renderer is a device or object which is used to create a virtual scenery into the display unit. That is renderer. So same way நம்ம பார்த்த மாதிரி இங்கேயும் renderer ஓட set size what will be the aspect ratio for display unit. So அதுக்காக யூஸ் பண்றது renderer. Next step So here you can use mesh basic unit, geometry, what kind of material, if you're going to add a cube or if you're going to add a circle, what kind of shape you're going to add into the sequence. That will be added. For that geometry, what type of mesh you're going to use, whether parametric modeling or non-parametric modeling. What you're going to use. Those details will be considered in this step, add objects. The example cube will come. So here is a cube example associated with both lighting effects and shadowing effects. Then imagine different categories like no lighting, no shadowing, how will be the cube? And the create if my scenery needs only the cube shape, you can avoid lighting effects and shadow effects. But here they use the 3D immersion feeling lighting use shadowing use. So add objects under the animation frame. If suppose the same cube is going to rotate in a direction, that is animation. If you need to add any kind of movement to the created objects, that step is called as animation. Same thing, basketball I create பண்ணிட்டேன். If I need to bounce the basketball, so I need to animate. If you are going to feed any kind of motion or movement to the object, that step is called as animation.